President Biden is at the southern border today. He is, as we speak, on his way to the El Paso County Migrant Services Center. This is his first visit to the border as president. President Biden also reviewed border enforcement, and he met with and is meeting with local elected officials in El Paso. Now, Republicans have very predictably slammed the appearance as nothing more than a photo op, even though they are the ones that usually do the photo ops at the border. This is all while ignoring the larger objective of the visit, offsetting the root causes of migration. Why a person or family must make the heart-wrenching decision to leave their home country in hopes of a better life. What happens at the United States-Mexico border? Joining me now to discuss it all is Eugene Scott. He is now a senior politics reporter for Axios and MSNBC political analyst, and former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro is here. Also here, former Republican Congressman and MSNBC analyst Carlos Curbelo. There might be some people who are wondering, did we not just see the former HUD secretary? And I want y'all to know we saw his brother was a congressman. Okay, that's the kind of family I want to be in. Okay, people who are doing the things. I am actually going to start this conversation with some comments from the Republican governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. He made these this morning about President Biden's visit. I want everybody to take a listen.
This visit is about 2 years too late and about $20 billion short of what needs to be done. All he's going to do down there is rearrange the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. He's not going to achieve any solutions that will make the border safer, more secure, and stop illegal immigration.
So hours later from that video, that interview, as the president arrived on the tarmac, Governor Abbott hand-delivered the president a letter that reiterated those criticisms and urged him to take further action. We haven't seen the letter, but that's what they say was in it. Congressman Curbelo, I'm wondering what your response is to all of this.
Well, Simone, I think two things are true. Number one, Congress has to act on immigration reform. We do need to invest more in border security. Of course, we have to modernize our immigration system so people can come to our country legally more efficiently. And also, we need to invest in Latin America. If we invest in Latin America, we provide economic opportunity in Latin America. That's good for American trade, for American exporters, and it will also help alleviate the immigration situation. Now, at the same time, I think the Biden administration has realized that this situation at the border, and not just at the border, here in the state of Florida, we're getting dozens and dozens of undocumented immigrants every day coming. See, it's just not tenable anymore. And the Biden administration does have to show that they're trying to address it in a meaningful way. I think that's one of the big reasons the president's going to the border. Democrats have scored low on immigration in poll after poll, and they're trying to show some proactive engagement.
Yeah, and Eugene, what the congressman is saying is something that I have frankly heard from folks across the political spectrum, right? But it's not just the White House here, right? The Congress has a role to play. And as as Congressman Castro described to me in our conversation, 2014, there was a bill on the floor and no one did anything when Republicans were in charge. So talk to me a little bit about Congress's role here and just what you were hearing from your sources about this very thorny political issue.
Well, we know most voters support immigration reform, and they want to see laws put in place that improve our current situation. And so lawmakers who have historically just said no and pushed back against Biden are going to be forced to answer to their voters, especially as we head into an election. So there's going to be incentive to come to the table, especially after last week's chaos, to be able to say that actually we are doing something to improve this situation, because beyond the sound bites and the politics of it, there are people on the ground who are directly impacted in the business community and faith community and housing by the current immigration crisis, and they want solutions from Congress, not just the White House.
This is such an important point. Secretary Castro, let me bring you in here, because both what Eugene is saying and also what we heard from Congressman Curbelo, there's a human aspect of this, the toll that this influx of individuals at the border takes on border communities, but also the inhumane treatment of folks crossing the southern border, how we talk about people. We just saw on our program a woman with her children talking about why she came, and she's sitting with her children outside in the cold. Talk to me just a little bit about how we can maybe recenter this conversation to talk about people.
It's a great point, Simone. We can't forget that right at the heart of this are human beings, and they should be treated humanely with compassion. And the administration can set a great example of doing that in small things and bigger things. Small things today, hopefully President Biden has an opportunity to actually speak with some of the migrants and hear stories like the one that Gabe talked to the asylum seeker, the woman about, there with her children. Also in the policies that we do adopt, going in the other direction from those Trump policies like Title 42 and Remain in Mexico and a transit ban that are inhumane policies. And finally, making sure that we support both government efforts and non-government efforts to ensure that these folks can be safe. One of the big differences between what the Biden administration has been trying to do and what DeSantis and Abbott have been trying to do with these migrants is that the administration has been trying to make sure that when people move to somewhere else in the country, if they're transported somewhere, that it's arranged how they're going to be received so that there's Catholic Charities or other nonprofits that can actually provide relief and comfort to them, a place to stay, so they're treated compassionately and humanely, not like Abbott dumping people on the side of the road in 18-degree weather on Christmas Eve. We can set an example of how to be different and be compassionate.
It makes a difference. I would also like to note there's a piece that the private sector can play, can take a role in this as well. I know that's some work that Vice President Harris has been doing. We could talk about the issue of immigration reform all day. We will be watching, and if President Biden says anything while he is down there on this facility tour and at the Migrant Services Center. I want to talk about Congress, okay? Because we had a hell of a week last week, and tomorrow there's going to be this upcoming rules package vote. I want to play for everyone what Republican Congressman Jim Jordan said this morning about just that.
I think we'll get the 218 votes we need to pass the rules package. I understand what these rules, this rules package is designed to do is to stop what we saw happen literally 15 days ago, where the Democrats passed a $1.7 trillion monstrosity of a bill that spent the American taxpayers' money in all kinds of crazy ways.
Now, Congressman Curbelo, Jim Jordan is chastising Democrats for voting to fund the government. He was also projecting some optimism about this rules package. Are you hearing that same optimism from some of your former colleagues? What are you hearing about this vote tomorrow?
Well, Simone, certainly centrist Republicans have been frustrated by this whole process. They don't like a lot of the concessions that have been made to some of these Freedom Caucus members. So they're planning potentially to file an amendment to the rules package. Some members may not support the rules package. They have expressed concerns about it. So Jim Jordan speaking with a lot of confidence there. And of course, we never know exactly what's going to happen until that vote gets opened. But there are certainly centrist members in the House Republican Conference that are starting to push back on what we've seen over the last week from the Freedom Caucus members. And they understand that they have to start asserting themselves, because otherwise they're going to be in political peril come in 2 years if these Freedom Caucus members force them into difficult positions and to unpopular positions in a lot of swing districts.
It is an important point. Eugene, I mean, what do you make of the implications of this package on the debt ceiling?
It's going to be really interesting because, as you know, Republicans have spent much of the past 2 years criticizing Democrats on spending and saying that things are not stable economically currently with Democrats in control of the White House and Congress. And we're going to see right now what ideas and policies they're able to put forward to actually have some control, as they would define it, on debt limits, on spending, and on other economic priorities.
Yeah, Secretary Castro, somebody has to tell these members that the debt ceiling is not about spending. It is, in fact, about paying our bills. We have to go. Secretary Julian Castro, former Congressman Carlos Curbelo, and Eugene Scott, thank you. Thank you.